Okay, cool. All right, so we're live everywhere, live on YouTube, live here on the Spaces. If you're listening, stay here on Twitter. But I threw the depth chart up on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, once people start to kind of filter in here, the depth chart is up here to the side, and it might be a little easier to see. Here, I'll send a tweet out with the depth chart, so I can throw that up in the top of the space. I know you guys probably already all have it and everything, but just try and make it easy for you, um, and put it out here. Um, want to talk about any surprises? Want to talk about, Coach Norvell mentioned some injuries, mentioned some concerns. We can talk about those now that they've been, kind of officially reported on or officially kind of spoken about by Coach. We can go into a little bit more detail, kind of hinted at some stuff, but maybe some encouraging news, and then maybe a couple more injuries that aren't the best thing, but we can comment on those and mention those. If you have specific questions, if you have things that you don't like about this depth chart, if you have things that you would have done differently, almost had a really snarky joke there. If you have things you expected to be different on this depth chart, maybe share some of those thoughts with us. You can reply to the tweet. You can send me a DM. You can jump in and speak at any point. We'll be happy to have you and chat about it. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening there, hit the share button, hit subscribe, and we will get after it. So, not a lot of surprise at the top. Obviously, we all kind of know that where Jordan was. I think the biggest question mark that people had on the offensive side was who would be the backup, and pretty obvious. And I think we were told and led to believe that Tate was certainly that guy, and he is. A little surprising to me that Ward is listed as RB1 and then Toe Philly with him, and then Benson coming off the bench. I don't know if they just expect Benson to kind of, once he comes in, carry a lot of the workload. You remember Dalvin, and I hate to compare anyone to Dalvin, but remember Dalvin, his first year that he came in, he really didn't start to play until that Louisville game. He wasn't the starter. Kind of wonder if that's some of the situation, just a little more familiarity. Man, they loved Benson and everything you heard coming out of fall camp. So that was a little bit surprising. I think we all kind of expected Benson to be RB1, but just a lot of depth in that room. But I don't know if anybody has thoughts on the running back specifically with that one. If you haven't seen, Pittman, Wilson, and Malik Mclean listed as your starters, but then a bunch of oars, right? And Florida State's notorious for this, uh, listing oars on the depth chart. Span and Johnny Wilson listed as oars. I mentioned this a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that I really expected Span and Wilson to be used situationally. I don't think that they're situational players. I think that they can do more than just be used situationally, but I do think that that's where you'll see them used a lot. I think that between or before the 40, you'll see Span a lot. I think in the red zone, you'll see Wilson a lot more. I think that on third and short, second and short, I think that's when you'll see Wilson. He's a better blocking target. He's also more reliable, kind of going over the middle, where I think Span is kind of your speedster. I said yesterday on Double Fries No Slaw when Richie and I were talking about it that I expect Ontario Pokey Wilson to be wide receiver number one here. I think he had a really, really good camp. I know we brought in 4 transfers, but I really think that Wilson has a nice season and he is number one. I think Pittman will be your most consistent wide receiver. I think you'll see a lot out of him, not only at wide out, also on special teams, which we can get to that one a little bit later, but excited to see what Wilson, Pittman, Span, Malik Mclean listed as a starter. I know that there's a guy that a lot of Florida State fans have wanted to see take that next step for quite a while. So excited for him. I have a thought on there's I don't know if again I'm not at practice, so once we're in the season, I think you can kind of just say what you know and move on. I'll talk a little bit about a concern at wide receiver, or maybe just I don't know if it's a true concern. It might be more of just a frustration, and a name that's not listed there that I think a lot of people had excitement around this year. Before I do that, we'll start with good news and then we'll go to bad news. I do want to give a quick shout out to Graham Coe. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but Garnet and Gold did a what would you call it? Like a tailgate package. Remember that? Where you had to like build your best tailgate with your garnet and gold stuff. We're going to do that with Gramco. It's going to come out like today or tomorrow. Give me like a day or two, but it's going to be select your Gramco items for the best tailgate. Like we've tailgated with Gramco a couple of times now. We've done events with them. They're going to be out in New Orleans with us this Labor Day weekend coming up. So I want to know what you guys want at your like ideal Gramco tailgate. We'll put that out soon. They've got a lot of good stuff coming out. Green apple gummies coming out next week. So I know that a bunch of you guys are going to go and try the new green apple gummies, get you some samples of that. Maybe we'll do some giveaways with that later in the week or next week. Seltzers are coming soon. We're going to have those at the tailgate in New Orleans. If you're ready, if you're going to New Orleans and you haven't already gotten your tickets, you need to do that. I'll send you a link if you shoot me a DM if you need some info on that. But yeah, I'd love to know who's coming to New Orleans. I'd love to know why you're going, why you're not going, who's making the trip, how far of a trip it's going to be. What can we do to convince you to get out to New Orleans to watch FSU beat LSU? What does that look like? And then, like I said, we're going to build a tailgate package with Gramco. What do you guys want from them? Do you want branded cups? Do you want shirts? Do you want hats? Like, what do you guys want? How can we make game day a little bit more fun? And then, of course, what are you eating on? You on the green apple gummies that are coming out next week? Are you on the seltzers that are coming out? I cannot wait for the seltzers. I tried them in Tampa a couple of weeks ago. Amazing. Excited for game day with Gramco. TheGramco.com. Get your orders in now, today, so that you can get your stuff in time for the season. Hopefully. You need to get your orders in today, though, because I can't guarantee they're shipping. It's quick, it's fast, but I don't know where you live, so tough for me to tell you if it'll be there or not. TheGramco.com, TJ25 will save you 25% on all your Delta 8 needs. Gummies, vapes, pre-rolls, hard candies, wake and bake coffee. Let's skip the noon games this year. So let's not buy as much wake and bake coffee. But if we have if things go downhill, we might be on the wake and bake coffee with Gramco, but we'll see. Okay, a name that's not on the depth chart. Again, do me a favor, guys. Hit the share button if you're on YouTube. Subscribe, share, thumbs up, all of that stuff. A name that's not on the depth chart that I think there was a lot of excitement about. I had thrown some hype around and was really excited for this player is Jakai Douglas. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the timeline rumblings are. I don't know if that's a name that has been rumored as a potential injury. A couple of people close to the program have told me that Jakai is a little banged up. I don't believe that anything is, season ending. I think that if you had a season ending injury, you'd have situations like Lyles where guys come out and say that and it gets reported on. I think anytime there's hope or there's optimism that a guy would be able to come back, that's why announcements aren't made, right? Everyone, you heard Coach Norvell talk about Maurice Smith today as a guy that could be coming back very, very soon to quote Coach. People were writing him off for dead 2-3 days ago, right? And then Coach says he's coming back, and I heard that he may even be back in the next week or so. And so I think that's typically why you don't have official reports come out, because when a guy gets hurt, swelling needs to go down. They need to take X-rays, MRIs, and once they've confirmed that there's no way a guy can come back, kind of like Caden Lyles, they make an announcement about a week later. But Maurice Smith has been, sustained an injury, got a little banged up, but is somebody that we believe will be back soon. I was told yesterday there's a chance he's back for LSU. Obviously, that'd be massive against one of the best defensive lines that we'll see all year. Might be the best defensive line we see all year, because you imagine they're healthy early in the year, and who knows what Clemson looks like later on. But Takai Douglas, somebody that I was really, really excited about this year, somebody that I heard had a great start to fall camp. Man, they even had some packages they were kind of installing for him and some different stuff that was pretty cool. He obviously made some massive, massive plays down the stretch last year. About Miami, he made a big touchdown catch against Notre Dame. But somebody that I hope can get back, because he's somebody that I really like his work ethic. I really like the kid. And so you'd hope he can kind of get back and continue on to play. But a name that wasn't listed on there, and I think probably would have been listed on there, maybe in that Kentron spot, maybe as an or for somebody else, had he been available. So we'll kind of draw your attention to that. Cam McDonald. So we'll move to the tight ends. Cam McDonald and Marqueston Douglas listed as your – so I got a comment on YouTube. Yeah, this is the depth chart as of now. Obviously, things can change between now and Saturday. We are 5 days from kickoff. but this is the depth chart. If we were playing today, this is what it would look like. Cam McDonald, Marquise Douglas, your 2 tight ends. Cam had missed some practices. I know that some people were concerned about that. Cam had maybe even said that he hadn't been practicing, but looks like he is listed as your tight end 1 for this. Marquise Douglas as tight end 2. Would really like for Florida State to get, something out of tight ends this year. Somebody gave, I think somebody made a bold prediction on when we did bold predictions on Double Fries No Slaw that Cam McDonald would have more receiving yards this year than he had in his entire Florida State career up to this point. I think he has 549. So he would need 550, or he has 550 and he needs 551. So either way, going for half of 1,000, a little over the halfway to 1,000 mark. If he can do that, if I'll just say this, if our tight ends combined go for over 500 yards, that will be a great year. But yeah, if Cam goes for 500 himself, or 550 to eclipse his current number, that would be fantastic. But Cam back in the lineup there, Marquise Douglas also as your second tight end. Wyatt Rector, Brendan Sinone's favorite. You guys listened to On the Bench. They did win shares this week, which was really, really good. But my man's a big Wyatt Rector fan, so listed as Cam's backup there. Offensive line, this is an interesting one. I don't know if anybody has any questions, any thoughts. Obviously, you can shoot me a DM. You can comment here on YouTube. Appreciate those that are tuned in there. But okay, yeah, we do have some questions. Good stuff. We'll do offensive line, then we'll get to some questions on the offense. We'll move to the defense in a little bit. So I'll save your questions for defense for the other side. Coach mentioned the Maurice Smith thing. It's something that had kind of been danced around and talked about a little bit. You'd seen, glimpses of that on the timeline, thoughts of that on the timeline, worries, concerns there. Everything from half a season to, he's done for the year to now it sounds like it may not be that long. Again, I was told that they would really, really like to have Maurice back for next week. There's some optimism around that. Won't be ready this weekend. But again, I think if you're bringing a guy back from injury, even if LSU was this weekend, I have not been told this. I'm not going on record saying that this is a certified fact. If LSU was this weekend, based on what I know about the injury or what I've been told about the injury, I think he probably would try to give it a go. I think that a little bit more rest when you're playing somebody like Duquesne is probably the smart way to do it. Not saying that's confirmed. Not saying if LSU and Duquesne somehow got flipped that it would change. But I'm just telling you that's my thoughts on the situation, and we'll kind of go from there and see. Would like to see Smith back next week. Think it gives just more depth to that position. Well, Washington has started before, and I don't think that it's he's played all 5 positions now. I think they're comfortable with him. Schrader behind him. I think that obviously that's who you go to if something happens to Washington during the game. Not a lot of surprises on that left side. Scott and Gibbons kind of anchoring that side. I think that side will be very, very good. Gibbons with his, coming back for his second year in Garnet and Gold. Dimitri Emmanuel or Justin Turntine at right guard. I like the or there. A 6'7" guard starting would be pretty wild, but I think we'll see how this week plays out. I think it'll end up being Dimitri, but I wouldn't be surprised if those guys rotate a little bit and both get action. And then Bless Harris, the guys on the bench were talking about this, and this is something that some of the folks there within the more have kind of talked to me about as well. As Bless Harris, I think was brought in, and a lot of people just thought like, oh, he's just going to, Lyles is the big offensive line get, and Bless is just coming in because he's coming from a lower level. It's not the same. He's not going to be able to come in and start or make an impact. I think that, even Josh and I maybe talked about that in the early days of Spaces that Bless is probably going to be one of your lower impact type guys. And he's had a phenomenal camp. He's had a good summer, good offseason. And I think they're very confident in him starting and anchoring that right side. I think that what will really be telling is what happens if Smith does come back. Do you move Darius back to that right tackle spot? Do you leave Darius as your emergency center? And so you don't play Darius because you don't want, you don't want Darius to sustain an injury out at right tackle when Bless is doing a great job. And then something, God forbid, happens to Smith or that injury seems to come back and bug him more, then you're out both of them. So my thought would be is that if Bless is holding up there, I would leave Washington as your emergency backup for any of these guys to go down. He can play all 5 positions. He's shown that he's capable. Started several games. He's grown in the system. I trust Atkins' development. I leave Washington. If Smith comes back, I leave Washington off so that we can have that backup. God forbid something happen to really anybody on the line. Having Turntine there is really interesting. I think that 6'5", 6'7" on that side of the line. If Turntine starts at guard and then tackle at 6'5" with Bless would be pretty ridiculous. I'm excited for the offensive line. I think this weekend we'll do more game preview type stuff. On Thursday on Double Fries No Slaw, we'll do kind of a game preview again on Friday here on the Spaces, just because everybody will be jonesing for football action and ready to go. But I think that'll be interesting to talk about, and we'll see if there are any changes or anything else is released on Friday with regard to that. Okay, cool. Let me get. I got the real Jamaican here requested. I got a couple questions here on Twitter, but let's do this. Let's do a quick shout out for Garnet and Gold. GarnetandGold.com. You can use code SPACES15. I put in a huge order this morning. I got to stop having kids. I got to slow down this family building thing that I'm doing, because my Garnet and Gold orders just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But yeah, I ordered something for every single person in the family. So we got like 5 things going today. Got stuff for the little guy. Got stuff for Elena. She's going up to her first. I want to hear this. If you come in the space today, I want to hear your first time in Doak. I'm taking my daughter to Doak for the very first time. Oh, she's been to the stadium. She's actually been inside the stadium. And actually, let's flex one more time. Elena's been inside the locker room even, but she's never been to a game. So I want to hear her first time going to a game in Doak. Got her a jersey for the weekend. Super cute. Got stuff for the boys who will be home with their mom. Got stuff for Kara. I got a new shirt. So I'm excited to get up to Garnet and Gold this weekend. If you haven't ordered, go ahead and get your order in today so that your stuff is certainly here by this weekend. If you're going to Tallahassee, just do in-store pickup. I kind of rolled the dice a little bit and am going to trust Garnet and Gold to get my order here, because they always do it in like 2 days. So I think they'll get it in Florida. But if you're going to the game, do in-store pickup. I would hate for you to leave your house on Friday and your order not be in yet because FedEx screws it up or something like that. I'm also leaving Saturday morning, so I felt like it was worth the risk. But GarnetandGold.com, SPACES15 will save you 15% on checkout. Going to Tallahassee, in-store pickup. Not going to Tallahassee, I'm judging you, but you can have it shipped to you. So you can have stuff ready to go for this weekend and be decked out in Florida State apparel. Nobody does it better than Garnet and Gold from a customer service, from a shipping, from a price standpoint, and we'll save you 15%. Orders over $75 are free shipping. And if you live in the state of Florida, I can't guarantee this, but mine has always showed up in like 2 or 3 days. So shout out to Garnet and Gold for being the absolute best. Go get your shopping done now. Congratulations to Jamie Robinson, named a preseason All-American by the Associated Press. That was just dropped by the FSU football account. So good stuff there. Again, I mentioned this on Double Fries No Slaw last night, but I spoke with J-Rob last week, and there is just such a confidence from that kid. I mean, you remember what he said when he was at the ACC media, ACC kickoff, I guess they call it now. But remember what he was talking that talk about LSU and everything that would go on this year. I love J-Rob. I think he's going to have a great year. I think he's kind of your easy pick for defensive team leader, defensive MVP. But I'm so excited for him. But what an honor. Preseason All-American by the Associated Press. Second team. So let's move that up to first team. I think he's the best. He's the best safety in the conference. I know the ACC gets a lot of hate, but best safety in the conference. And so let's get after it. Let's go win that first team this year. All right, we'll do defense. Let me get real Chamike on. Chamike, I don't know if you have a question on offense or defense, but let's keep, I'm going to let you in one way or the other, but I'm trying to do offense first, and then we'll do defense in the second half of this. But what's going on, my man?
How's it going, man? Hey, shout out to Garnet and Gold. We were there Saturday. Dropped a lot of money at the Governor Square location. Just remember, if you're a booster, you get discounts at the locations as the spaces discount, if I'm honest. But shout out to Garnet and Gold. Awesome shop. Spent a lot of money there over the years. Will continue to do so. So I wanted to talk about Ward. Given his performance, I think he really earned the starting role this year. I think he really earned the number one spot. And I know there was a lot of talk about Benson and what he brings to the table, but man, I feel like Ward really earned it. What would be the arguments for Benson to take the number one spot?
So I think when I wasn't at practices. Hats off to the guys that are out there at practice. I always have the utmost respect for those guys because while I'm sitting in a nice air conditioned house in a nice office chair, they're busting butt in the Florida heat. So shout out those guys first of all. But yeah, I mean, I just think that Benson being kind of a burner, and it just sounded like Benson had a pretty phenomenal camp. He was always being mentioned as that guy whenever any of the camp reports came out. So again, this isn't stuff that I was seeing with my own eyes. I always like to give the nod to the guys that were out there covering it themselves. That said, the coaches know exactly what they're evaluating. They know what they can speak on. Obviously, Ward and Toafili definitely have a better understanding of the playbook and things like that. It seemed like there was more smoke around Benson. It looked to me like he had a better spring game, not to put everything into the spring game all at once. Just his burst was pretty remarkable from, sitting inside of Doak there. So I just thought it was leaning his way. I think that they've got a stable of running backs that are really, really good. And when, to kind of give another nod to the on the bench guys, when, this isn't really a stat that's mentioned in football, but if you're a baseball fan, you understand what wins above replacement is, right? Like if you take out the best player on a team, what does his replacement do, right? Like, so Tom Brady's wins above replacement is through the roof, right? Because the best quarterback behind him is like somebody terrible, Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask or whatever. But if you take out, just whomever, Mike Evans, the next best wide receiver is still pretty good at Chris Godwin or whatever, right? So Mike's wins above replacement is going to be lower than Brady's. Well, I think that's kind of similar here, right? Like Jordan's got the highest wins above replacement on the entire team, and running backs might be one of the lower ones because of how deep that room is. And so I don't think, I ever thought that Benson would just be leagues better than Toafili or Ward or anything like that. I just thought he was slightly edging him out. And I think that with that room, it's deep enough that I think that you're happy with all three of those guys getting several touches a game and really just kind of ride with whoever's hot each game. And that's what I think will end up happening. I think there are games where all three guys will lead Florida State in rushing attempts and yardage because I think that they all will at different times go off.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be a great year. I can feel it. Thanks, man. Keep it up.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you being a booster. Looking forward to seeing you at the tailgate on Saturday. I know you're going to stop by, so I appreciate you, my man. Let's see here. Let me look through these questions real quick and see if we have anything else specifically on offense. Keyshawn Helton, a name that was not on the depth chart. As far as an answer there, thoughts on Keyshawn Helton not being there. I don't have a solid answer. My assumption there is just, other guys in the spring had better springs than him, and that's where we're kind of left with. I don't know of any, unless it's just something that I am just completely forgetting or haven't heard. I don't know of any injuries or anything that's nagging. I think you've got a really, really deep room there. And we talked about this in the beginning of the spring, that some guys were going to separate. Some guys were going to take that step and be at the higher end of the depth chart. And you're going to have guys that ultimately just get left off because of that, right? Like you just can't have 9 receivers out on the field at any given time. And so if and when Winston Wright can come back, you'll probably see somebody else get dropped as well if Winston Wright's able to come back and make an impact. So I think Helton will get burned. I think you'll see him in this game this weekend. But, my assumption there, without asking anyone specifically, the assumption is he just didn't have as good of a camp as other guys may have. Another question, LSU tailgate request, koozies and comfortable seating for those that are flying to New Orleans and can't bring tailgate items. Let me tell you something. We got you covered there, Gianni. We are renting tables, chairs, tents, porta potties, so we have private bathrooms. We've got a DJ coming. We've got a bar, all you can eat Guthrie's. We are doing it big. Tailgate in New Orleans with the Roll Up Network, double fries, no slaw. If you need a link to tickets, go ahead and do me a favor and shoot me a DM. I will get that over to you. Let's see here. Okay, cool. Let's go to defense. All right, Seymour. Let me get Seymour in here, and then we'll go to defense. Talk about the defense side of the depth chart. Again, I've got a hard out at 1 p.m. today. So, Seymour, talk to me. Then we'll talk about defense. If you have questions on YouTube, you can submit those. Hey, we finally got monetized on YouTube, so that's cool. If you really want your question answered, you can throw there's like the tip jar thing. I don't even know how this thing works. Somebody was telling me about it yesterday. We did it yesterday on the show. Like, I made Harlan give some money, so that was great. But anyway, what's going on, Seymour?
What's going on, man? I just wanted to comment on the running back situation. Hey, man, if I feel you on the running back committee thing, but I'm telling you right now, if one of those guys does not get 1,000 or close to it, it's going to affect our 24 recruit.
I've still got Benson good enough. Bold prediction has not changed. I got Benson going over 1,000. I think he's going to have he just due to his burst, right? Like what made Corbin have so many yards? I mean, Corbin was good last year no matter what, but I think that I forgot to ask Real Chamike what his first game in Doak was. Chamike, hit me up and tell me that in the DMs. But I think Corbin he started out with an 85-yarder against Notre Dame. So I think that was, like if you can get 2 or 3 of those, it makes it a lot easier for you to get to those high numbers, right? Like if this weekend Benson can break off a 75-yarder against a Duquesne team, if he can break off a 60-yarder, like those big chunk plays are how you can really like inflate that a little bit. And Corbin was still good last year. Shout out my man getting a touchdown last night. Jakai Patrick get a touchdown last night too. That was a fun one to see 2 Noles scoring in the same game. But I think you can really kind of not inflate that because you still get the yards. But that's kind of where I think Benson can get there, is because I think he can break a couple of long ones like that. But I feel you on that. I mean, I'm all for spreading the wealth. I'm all for spreading the love. But it's time to have a 1,000-yard back.
We need one, man. I'm telling you, Little Bird told me straight from the source, man, that he's watching those rushing yards. So we need 1,000-yard back this year.
Let's do it. All right, Seymour, I appreciate you, man, on a Monday.
No problem, baby. Have a good day.
You too, buddy. All right, on defense. All right, just got a couple of you guys message me about the tailgate. I'll get to you as soon as the space is over. That way we can here, you know what I can do? I can let me just here's what I can do. I can just throw it up in the top of the space. You guys will be patient for 10 seconds while I put this up here. But yeah, excited for the tailgate. Again, while I'm doing that, if you are going to Tallahassee this weekend, we do have a tailgate that we're doing with Rising Spear. All Rising Spear members get in for free. So all you have to do is donate to FSU's NIL through Rising Spear, and you get in for free. If you're not a recurring member, shoot me a message. Tailgate ticks. And I'll give you information there. I'll answer any questions you have about it. You can also one-time donate. I'm suggesting about $20 per person. I think that's what would kind of make sense. But it's not a hard, fast donation. Whatever you guys think is right, I've kind of given you my suggestion on it. You guys can do what you think is right or appropriate. I put the NOLA tailgate tickets up in the top of the space. Sales are going pretty good on that. So shout out you guys that are coming out to New Orleans. So that is up in the top of the space. I'll still DM it to people afterwards, but that is up there in case I missed your DM or whatever. So, all right, defensive side of the ball. Defensive end, McClendon and Briggs as kind of your starters. Verse also listed as an or. Again, I don't think that's super shocking. I think McClendon's been really, really good. Knows the system a little bit better. There was a little bit of an acclimation period in the spring. I think all 3 of those guys are going to get a ton of burn. I think Warner will get in too. And so somebody asked me about Patrick Payton and being listed as an or with Warner. Ors mean they're exactly the same, right? Like you could see that go either way. So I think you have a defined top 3 of McClendon, Verse, and Briggs, and then you have the or of Warner, Payton coming in to kind of back up those guys. So I don't think that's a huge deal. I don't think it's like, oh wow, I can't believe that Payton's 5th. I think Payton will get in and make some things happen, but I think that's not surprising at all. I saw some people asking about Verse being again, that could be him starting there. So I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. I think you're going to see similar to the running backs, similar to the wide receivers. Whoever's hot there is going to be the guy that's in. Verse has 2 sacks in the beginning of the game. My man's going to keep getting the pass rush. I think you'll see Verse a lot on third down. I think that's where they like him rushing the pass. I think they like McClendon a lot, stuff in the run. I think you're using guys. You're not so much of a one-trick pony, especially on defense last year, as you were last year, right? Where everything was either Jermaine Johnson does something out of this world or the other team's getting a first down, right? So I think that's where you see some diversity there, and it'll be really good. No surprises at defensive tackle. Lovett and Cooper as your starters there. Excited for Malcolm Ray, Farmer, Jackson getting in there to kind of spell those guys. We have the best defensive tackles in the conference. It's really not close. Best defensive tackles in the state. So those guys are going to be really, really special this year. Fabo could have left last year. Cooper could have probably made a roster. I don't know that he necessarily would have been drafted, but those guys could have been gone and decided to come back. And that's going to be really, really good for Florida State to have those guys back, to get those guys back. Money years for both of them. I wouldn't expect that either of them is back next year, obviously. But those guys are going to be massive for FSU. And I think you'll just get so much pass rush through the middle. Again, this is not to take away from Jermaine, because obviously he won us some games himself and nearly beat Clemson himself. But it's not so much of the one-trick pony where it's, either Jermaine sack or, strip sack for a fumble and for a touchdown or whatever. I think you'll really see more balance, and it's going to be anchored by those guys. If there's the position group I'm most confident in this year is our defensive tackles. And it's not close on anything else. I love our safeties. I do think they're the best in the league. Safety, secondary is a tough position to play in a passing game. I am really, really confident on our tackles. Linebacker. Somebody asked about linebacker in the DMs. I don't have it pulled up right in front of me, but they just asked about Tayden Bethune being the sure thing, the number 1 linebacker this year. I don't know that I'm that shocked by that. He has had a phenomenal spring. He's acclimated very, very well. He led UCF in tackles last year. He also led UCF in tackles in the bowl game against the Gators. Kid is really, really talented. I think that you'll see him an absolute ton. And then I think you see Deloach going to have a really, really good year. And Lundy has absolutely transformed his body. And I think the reason you see the or with Lundy and Deloach there is because the nickel position is also included in the depth chart. Obviously, if you're running a typical 4-3, you're going to have Deloach, Lundy, and Bethune all in the field at the same time. If you're running more of a coverage, maybe a third down defense, that's when Knowles probably comes in, who predicted that, right? Predicted that Knowles would be your guy there at cornerback to start in the nickel position. But I think that's why Lundy's listed as an or there. Nothing crazy. I think Lundy will be really, really good this year. I'm excited for Lundy. And I think that's why you see an or there. Deloach, Bethune, going to be on the field every play, unless, Gainer or Gant or somebody's spelling them. But then I think that, Lundy gets a ton of burn and has a much better year this year. Looking at the secondary, again, I don't know about any surprises here. I have said all along, I thought Kevin Knowles would be your nickel. I feel like he'll be really, really good in that position. I made a bold prediction for him to come away with 3 interceptions this year. I'm sticking with that. 3 turnovers. I think I get credit for a fumble there as well. We all kind of knew Duke Cooper would be a big piece, a big cornerback for Florida State. You see Thomas and McCall listed right behind him. And then you got Renardo Green filling out that other spot on the other side. Some question, would that be Vance? Would that be Green? Could that be somebody else? Feaster maybe coming in. I think the transition of just, being so new was a little tough on Feaster, but I do think he'll get in and get some burn. And then no surprises with the safeties. Dent and Robinson, the best 2 safeties in the conference, in the state. Take that to the bank. So, Cooper not a surprise. Knowles not a surprise. I think we all kind of expected that it would be, either Green, Vance, Thomas, something like that. I think you could see Thomas play his way into that position fairly soon. I would say somewhere around I don't know. I've always kind of put like that October date in my mind as a day that Thomas could enter the starting lineup. You know, what's that? Maybe at the Wake Forest game. So that could be big, especially because, you know, that could be the game that, you know, well, you'll just see if, you know, Hartman's back or not. A lot of folks asking about Travis J. Again, try and be kind of kind. If a kid's not making the two deep here, I think that that probably speaks to their past production, lack thereof, as well as their camps and what they've shown over the last few weeks. I don't know that I start Travis J over anybody that, you know, is out here and is listed. So I don't know. I mean, you asked about Travis J. People have asked about other guys, Malik Mclean. If they're not on the two deep, again, past performances, current camp. But you could see guys play their way into it, right? Injuries happen. Guys need to be ready to step up. That possibility exists. Just that would be my kind of nice-ish PR answer of how I kind of see that going down. First game for the real Chamaik, 2002 versus Duke. In the student section. That was bad. I mean, that was obviously the heyday. 82,000 family members sitting there cheering. So, yeah, a sellout back then. Imagine selling out Duke. That'd be fun to do that again. So, let's get back to that. Yeah, a couple questions. Can we come by the tailgate and say hi, Enola? Going to be at another one most of the day, but would love to say hi. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, somebody asked wrong date on the tailgate ticks. Yeah, that just on the edit. The date is right actually on the tailgate. So I got caught up in Central Time, Eastern Time, and then messed up the whole date. So, all right, I have 13 more minutes. Those are my thoughts on the depth chart. Oh, you know what? I'll real quick do special teams. Somebody just asked about that. No surprises at all. In fact, I'm not even throwing special teams up on the screen, but no surprises at all with, you know, specialists. Fitzgerald, Mastromanno is your kickers, long snapper, holder, Mastromanno. Yeah, kickoff specialist, Ryan Fitzgerald. Returners, kick return looks like it'll be Spann or McCall alongside Pittman. So you'll either have Pittman and McCall or Pittman and Spann back there. And then for punt return, it looks like it's going to be Michael Pittman, probably the most consistent as far as hands go, catching the ball. He came on the spaces back when Newberg was on here and told us that he never drops one. So I fully expect that tweet to get revisited because I put a clip out of him saying that this year. But Pittman back there, punt return, or Helton or McCall. So, again, folks asked about Helton not being on the wide receiver depth chart, but maybe has a chance to kind of get in and do some stuff at returner. And so you can see some guys make an impact on special teams. Maybe that's a place that Travis J could make an impact too. All right, we're going to have to go rapid fire on these callers. We got 12 minutes left. We got 5 or 6 people requested. If you've got questions, if you've got things you want to know about the depth chart, I think I've tried to do as good of a job as I can. It's probably not very good going through it and sharing some of my thoughts on it. But let's get some of your questions. Again, if you're on YouTube, smash the subscribe button. Don't just hit it. As Aaron likes to say, you need to smash that subscribe button. Smash that subscribe button like you'd smash a U-Haul out of Jacksonville if you got the opportunity to move. Panama Noah, what's going on?
Not much, man. How's it going?
It's good, man. Are you ready for the season?
Dude, you have no idea. I'm so sick of waiting. Like, come on. It's enough time. Like 5 days left. I need this to hurry up. This is crazy.
I'm with it.
Part of me like was a little nervous earlier in the summer. Like, man, we dropped to Jacksonville State last year, blah blah. But the more I hear about it, and then I saw that video of Duquesne practicing, and if we don't drop 56 on them at least, I'm going to be worried. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we killed UMass last year. I think UMass could beat Duquesne. So, it is what it is. As far as my first game at Doak was actually last year against Miami. So
that's a good start.
Yeah. It's a great experience. I was like, I don't get emotional often. And I could swear 4th and 14 that my eyes welled up. So, but yeah, man, I think I like this depth chart. I'm kind of curious to see if Murray Smith comes back at center. What that does to the depth chart, especially with Washington. He has some experience, but also I know that, he kind of got thrown into the fire and hasn't really been – he's been battling injury on and off. So, I know strength and stuff sometimes with O-linemen, they kind of need to build that before they get thrown out there. But hopefully he's good to go. And then, the only one that worries me really is that other corner spot because, we saw Green last year, but he was kind of injury-ridden. And he had flashes, but at times it was kind of like he struggled. But, that was also at the beginning of the year when everybody struggled. So it's kind of – I'm interested to see how he does. But other than that, man, I kind of like it. And, as far as rushing by committee, I kind of think you're right. And I'd love to see a 1,000-yard rusher. But if we have two rushers and they're both like 750, I mean – we're bringing a featured back that's better than both of them, and you see that two running backs got 1,500 yards with a offensive line that kind of got put together with transfers. Then what happens when we build that O line and you're the featured back? So hopefully they're looking at all of that, but we'll see. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I think we're going 8-4 at least this year, so we'll see what happens. But I'm ready for the week and. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for all you do on here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you, my man.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, buddy. I'm ready for the week, guys. Thursday night, we'll have a preview show on Double Fries No Slaw. I'm trying to get like a Duquesne writer on. I got a guy from the Pittsburgh Gazette that I'm trying to get to come on. So I know that I'm not joking. Like I really would like to, it's an interesting perspective. Obviously, we all kind of know what's going to happen, but that'd be interesting. I got a couple more callers we want to get to, kind of rapid fire. I do want to give a shout out to Primetime 2121. That's Tony Perez with DSP Insurance Services. Not only can he take care of your commercial insurance needs, not commercial, that's not the right word. Employment, insurance needs, but also just your regular personal stuff too. Car insurance, home insurance. Hit up my guy right now, Primetime 2121 here on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, shoot me a message on Twitter and I'll hook you up with Tony. Let's see if he can just get you a quote. You don't have to do anything crazy. He's not running your credit. He's not stealing your, he's not going crazy. He's just going to get you a quote on car insurance, home insurance. See if he can save you some money. If he can, great. If not, move on. Go with someone else. But if we can support Knowles on here, we like to do it. It's DSP Insurance. My guy, Tony Perez, his handle on here is Primetime 2121. Go give him a follow. Big FSU fan. And if you can save you a little money on car insurance, even if you're a Cane or a Hurricane, or a Cane or a Gator in here listening to the spaces, because nobody does it like FSU, he could save you some money too. We just won't tell people that you got car insurance through a Knoll. So shout out my guy, Primetime 2121. Appreciate you, Tony. Appreciate all your support. You guys go hit him up. All right, Pat, what's going on, my man?
Hey, what's up, man? I know you're trying to do rapid fire, so real quick, first game in Doak was 2013 versus Miami, 41-14.
Another good
Busted
one.
that ass.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I had my honeymoon in St. Augustine and then drove straight over I-10. Went to that game. Amazing. Shout out Garnet and Gold. I got a new game day polo coming for New Orleans. The Garnet one with the spear on the chest.
Love it.
Goes hard. And quick question, really more of an observation question. Who was it hyping or bringing up the discussion about Jerrion Jones playing nickel? And because now I'm looking at the depth chart and he's not there. It's Kevin Knowles and Greedy Vance, which I think we all kind of expected. But where did that whole Jerrion Jones being healthy and playing nickel thing come from, and then just not even be real?
So I don't know who started the hype. I could make a guess, but I'm trying to be a little bit more Christian on these spaces. So I'm avoiding controversy, at least on game week. Maybe check back in with me on the bye week, and I might say something reckless. Shout out Garnet and Gold. But I will say this. Jerry had a really, really good camp. Now, I was listening on the bench, and he mentioned this, and I kind of agree with him. Having a good camp is one thing, but you have to be able to do it when the lights come on the field. And so I don't really know who was kind of hyping the Jones to nickel. I always thought he would be more of an outside guy just due to length and such. But, yeah, I don't know if that – yeah, that wasn't me. So I don't know who was hyping it. We've always kind of thought it was going to be – I've always thought it would be Kevin Knowles. I just think he's perfect for that position, really, really athletic. and I think we'll do really well there. But yeah, I think Jones did have a good camp, so I will say that. Like, hopefully we can kind of, see him get in and play through some stuff.
Yeah, so I think I feel like everybody was kind of under the understanding that it was going to be Kevin Knowles and Greedy Vance, but it was just, I don't know, that weird few days where it was all of a sudden Jerry and Jones going to be a good nickel. Which, hey, look, I know he went through some shit last year, and if he's going to be healthy and contribute this year, let's rock. But I don't know, that's one of the things that stuck out. I mean, everything else on the depth chart was pretty much, kind of what we expected, I guess. But yeah, all right. Well, like I said, man, rapid fire, go Knowles.
Appreciate you, Pat.
Yep.
I was at that Miami game. I remember it, but I don't really remember it. So I'll say that. All right, let's go Chad real quick. I'm going to try and we got 4 minutes and 4 people requested. So let's get after it. Chad, what you got, man? What's your first game in Doak and what's your question?
2006 against Duke. So
another win. Has anybody's first game in Doak been a loss? That'd be a good one. My first game in Doak was a loss. So I'll say that. 2011 Virginia was a tough one.
So I was just going to shout out to the J-Trav haters. I think it's very clear with this depth chart. You see all the transfers we brought in at wide receiver, either the starter or an or on this depth chart. And I think it kind of gives you a perspective of what the progress we could see in J-Trav this year with an increased share of hands in the room.
Yeah. I mean, Mike is so huge on Jordan, and I think it's significant that you saw him breaking the rock, at the end of fall camp. This team, we know this, and even if Jordan hadn't taken a step forward or doesn't take a step forward, I think we know that. Oh man, shout out Sean on YouTube. My first 3 games at Doak have all been losses. All right, bro, come to the Duquesne game this weekend, bro. You got to break that streak. Don't go to anything else though. Go to Duquesne until you break the streak, and then you can come back. But yeah, I think that Mike is way high up on Jordan, and we know this. Like, the team is going to go as far as Jordan takes them, but it seems like that's a huge step forward from where it has been. So no, I'm excited about it. Shout out to J-Trav haters. I'm with that. That's a good shout out. Thanks, Chad. Somebody asked on YouTube. Actually, I know who it was. Marlon asked on YouTube, what was the % chance of win possibility last year between FSU and JSU? And what is it for Saturday's game? The best I can tell, Jacksonville State had a 2.6% chance to win going into that game. So, roughly, so we'll say 2.5. I'll even round it down and say 2.5. So, not very good. I'd say, this week's is maybe 0.5, maybe 0.25 according to ESPN. Like, if we just did it, right? Like, what's ESPN give it? Duquesne, SNA, FSU. According to ESPN, yeah, it's 0.5. So, Jacksonville State was more than 5 times more likely to beat FSU than Duquesne is. So again, for those that are worried about that game, and as fluky as that was, Jacksonville State and probably UMass would whip up on Duquesne. Pete, what's going on here? Pete, you on there? Might have lost Pete. Let me add Brian real quick. We might have to go here. I see Josh Allen. I'm going to try and get you here in just a minute if I can. But Brian Kelly. I see my buddy Blake in here. This is not the real Brian Kelly.
Yo.
Well, it is the real Brian Kelly, but just not that Brian Kelly.
Hello?
What's going on, my man?
How are you?
I'm good.
Good deal. Hey, I'm just really curious to see how they, on third downs, how they mix match the defensive line. I think they can do so much with it, with Briggs being outside, inside. It's kind of disappointing just seeing Gaynor as a backup because, as long as he's been here with his size, he's just, I don't know, man. I just feel like there's somewhere for him, but I guess camp he ain't really showing off. But, even you could put him at DN and you could do all kinds of things. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've never been to Doak, My first game, I was about 20 years old. It was in Blacksburg. I think Ponder was the quarterback, and we ended up losing. I do want to take my 4 kids and wife there one day, but it ain't happened yet.
Get on down here, man. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try next couple years. Outside of that, man, I'm excited. I think we're gonna be pretty good. I think Benson's gonna have 1,100 yards. I think the guy has a better line, and I think he's more explosive than Corbin was last year. So I'm looking forward to the season. I enjoy these spaces. You guys have a good day. I know you're trying to wrap up.
I might try and roll up too. It's all good. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you, my man. Speaking of that, shout out Gramco, thegramco.com. Pre-rolls, vapes, gummies, wake and bake coffee, whatever you need. TJ25 at checkout. Alan from Tampa. Dude, I'm going to rapid fire these. Everybody gets like 30 seconds. Alan, then Josh, then Pete, and we're out of here. Josh is going to be pissed because he's not going to be able to ask 8 questions. Alan, where you got going, man? Bro, you moving some dirt on the property? It is so loud, bro. Bro, it is so loud. I got to cut you off. Just shoot me a deal. But I love you, man.
All right, buddy.
Alan's always doing some wild stuff, man. Like it is. But I love Alan. Alan from Tampa. I love anybody from Tampa, honestly. But shout out Alan. Pete the Greek, and then we'll get Joshua on here. I'll just be a couple minutes late to my 1 o'clock. It'll be all right. Pete, how you doing, man?
You can hear me, TJ.
Yeah, I got you now.
Anyways, my QB was can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Goat. Real quick. QB for me was McManus. That's how old this old fart loves to listen to you. I really called in to say I'll see you in NOLA and check out the 30 for 30. It has the second chapter. It's pretty interesting. It has our coach in there.
Heck yeah, I'll check it out. I've seen all the 30 for 30s, but I don't remember that specifically, but I will check it out.
This latest one has Randy Shannon in it, and unfortunately he was a scapegoat back then, but we got him, so we're good.
Best linebacker coach in the state. Appreciate it, Pete.
Yep. Great. See you, bud.
See you, man. All right, Joshua, and then we're going to get out of here. Again, shout out DSP Insurance, my guy Tony Perez. Save you some money on car insurance, homeowners insurance, whatever you need. Hit him up, Primetime 2121 on here. And Garnet and Gold, get your orders in. Jameson just shot me an order. He got his order in with garnetandgold.com. Use code SPACES15 to save 15%. Get that in now. Alan from Tampa's first game was in Doak in 1992. Yo, Aaron, I see that tweet. Joshua, what's going on?
All right, I'm going to be old as fuck here. First game in Doak was 86 against Southern Miss. Blew them out. Still wasn't a good season, but that was my first time over there. And I barely remember because I was so little, but I still remember enough.
What year? What year was that?
86.
How did we? I'm old, bro, so I don't remember that.
We played Southern Miss in 86. Year that lost to Michigan earlier in that year. I was 6 years old. Tells you how old I am. So yeah, that was my first game. I was real little. I barely remember it, but I had a picture from when I was a kid.
Hey, yeah, 49-13. We're gonna score more than that this weekend, though. So
there we go. Last thing on Garden Goal, I have my orders up right now. About to hit the button. Just trying to decide because these retro T-shirts are awesome. I can't decide which ones I want, and I can't buy all of them. So that's my only thing. The other thing, my only question is, so much, feel better about the secondary than last year, especially early in the year when we made the Notre Dame quarterback look like a Heisman Trophy kid. My only question is, if we see someone like Cooper go down, how are we all feeling about the guys in the second and third in there? I know we have obviously Thomas look real good, but he's a freshman. My only thing I question is a little bit of depth at that secondary, but interested in your thoughts and get out of here and go to your meeting after.
So yeah, good question, Josh. And I appreciate you for coming on and hanging out. We talked about wins above replacement. This was actually the point that On the Bench was making. So if you haven't listened to On the Bench yet, it's really good stuff. You should go listen to it while I'm on my 1 o'clock call. But there's a lot of guys in that secondary or in the cornerback room that I think are similar level talents. And Duke Cooper right now is head and shoulders above the rest. And so that is where I do think that, Sean was there for Virginia Tech with Willie, Jacksonville State, and the one for Clemson. Brutal. You got to stop coming to games, Sean. I'm sorry. I take that back. Don't even go to Duquesne. But yeah, that cornerback room, there's a lot of similar talent in there. I think that's why you've seen guys, not really like separate, or there's different arguments over who will be one, who will be nickel, who will be the two. But Cooper is the one and is that guy. And so I think that, yes, if you were to lose him, then you lose your most certain piece in that room. And that would be trouble because he's your go-to. He's your lockdown. He's your shutdown guy. And I think that would be pretty tough. I watched, again, the Miami game last week. I'm certain I've actually been watching the Clemson game a little bit this week. And I think that that's been really, really big for Florida State as a guy that can go out there and shut down. I think that'll be Duke. So, yeah, losing him would be massive. So, not going to happen. Knock on wood. Everybody stays healthy, and we're good to go. All right, cool. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. New schedule. Okay, so I'm going to do double fries, no slaw every Sunday. Like, that's going to be normal. I want to do a Monday show just like this, talking the depth chart, talking the upcoming game, recapping the weekend. Monday will be really fun. This flowed really well. I thought it was cool. Thursday night, we'll have a writer or something on for double fries, no slaw. It'll be live on YouTube. This won't be a Spaces thing, but it'll be live on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube yet, go hit that. Go smash the button, as Aaron likes to say. And then on Friday, we'll do kind of a preview with you guys, what you're thinking about the game, more fan input, more engagement, more interactive, kind of like this was. And then Saturday, we're going to do instant reaction. That'll be on both. It'll be both on the YouTube. It'll be on Spaces. I want the fan interaction on that. So we beat LSU's tail. I'm going to do it from the tailgate. We lose to LSU, I'll probably do it back from the hotel room. give me a little bit to recompose myself. But I think those will be a ton of fun. We'll do it. Richie's going to help me fire it up as I drive home from the game on Saturday night. But we'll do an instant reaction whenever the game's over on Saturday night as well, so we can get these hot takes off after we win by 60. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you enjoyed this, again, on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. If you listen to it here on Twitter, you can hit retweet, and we'd appreciate it. Come tailgate with us this weekend for the Duquesne game. Go get your orders in at Gramco Garnet and Gold, and then we'll see you in New Orleans in just over 2 weeks. Thank you guys for hanging out. Take care and go Noles. One more time, if you're here on YouTube and you haven't hit the subscribe button, if you're on your mobile phone, you can swipe down on the chat, and you'll be able to subscribe right there. If you're on a computer, the subscribe button is right here to the bottom, all right, under the depth chart. It's pointed that way. I can't even do it with the thing up on screen. Thank you guys for hanging out. We will be back with more content this week. Until next time, go Noles.